Thank you for joining us today at our first webinar in the Canadian Ehlers-Danlos Syndromes Conference 2023 series on women's health. To open this educational event, we acknowledge that today's webinar is taking place virtually on the traditional territory of many nations and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. As we know, long before today, Indigenous peoples have been the stewards of these lands. We also want to acknowledge the Dish with One Spoon Treaty, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Turtle Island's Indigenous peoples continue to care for this land and shape our country. We recognize that these lands, both historically and currently, have been the home and gathering place of many Indigenous people from various nations across this island. We are grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and meet in this territory, and need to listen, learn, and show respect to the Indigenous peoples of this land today and all days. We stand in solidarity with the lost children and survivors of residential schools, their families and communities, murdered and missing women, girls, transgender, and two-spirited people. We acknowledge the importance of advocacy to bring attention to a more equitable society that includes every marginalized population, including ours, with EDS and chronic pain. I am happy to introduce the chair of the Canadian Ehlers-Danlos Syndromes 2023 conference series, Dr. Robyn Duffus. Dr. Duffus comes to us from Sault Ste. Marie's Algoma District Medical Group, having completed her undergraduate degree in nursing at Queen's University in Kingston before working in rural and urban nursing settings. She then completed a Bachelor of Science Physician Assistant degree at the University of Toronto, a program in collaboration with the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, NOSM, and the Michener Institute of Education. Dr. Duffus worked briefly as a physician assistant at Cambridge Memorial Hospital before entering NOSM at the Thunder Bay campus and eventually specializing in pediatrics. She completed her residency primarily in Thunder Bay and at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, and is interested in pediatric dermatology, holding a professional certificate in clinical dermatology from University College, Dublin. The ILC is very excited to have Dr. Robyn Duffus as our 2023 conference chair. She has built relationships in Thunder Bay with outstanding individuals within the ILC network and appreciates the hope they give to people living with Ehlers-Danlos syndromes. Welcome, Dr. Duffus.
Thank you for this introduction, Jackie. On behalf of the ILC EDS Foundation and the Scientific Planning Committee, welcome to the 2023 Canadian EDS Conference. As a chair of this educational event, I hope you are equally as excited about the content that we have prepared for you today. EDS greatly impacts the lives of those affected by it, and yet it can be very difficult for a physician or healthcare provider who is aware of it and its associated conditions. My dedication and interest in this educational event stem from my work as a consulting pediatrician and my aspirations to provide adequate support and care for this syndrome and its associated conditions, ideally being able to recognize the zebras amongst the hoofbeats of horses when they present to my office. Today, we will hear from 3 speakers on women's health, care and management of weak connective tissues in Ehlers-Danlos syndromes. Dr. Sally Pizarro is a registered midwife and a fellow with the Royal College of Midwives and the Higher Education Committee, and has her PhD, Master's in Science, BA Honors, and a postgraduate certificate in academic practice and higher education, and much experience as a midwife in EDS patient care. We will then hear from Nellie Fagani, who is a pelvic health physiotherapist, passionate about expanding education on EDS in her field of expertise. Nellie has taken the initiative to connect with international therapists and openly shares her current best evidence in treatments to improve quality of life. With our last speaker, we will hear from Dr. Ahmed Hassan today. He is a resident physician at the University of Toronto and will share the research outcomes in EDS and women's health and what is known so far. We hope you find this information helpful. Presentation videos will be published on the ILC EDS Foundation website following today's event. If you have any questions about the presentations, please follow the link shown on your screen, and we will work to send answers to your questions in an email. Please join me in welcoming the presenters.